We're in the 7:45 p.m. I don't usually do videos this late at night, but I just kind of feeling like doing one because I've had a lot of things going on in the morning. I'm in the middle of taking on another client, trying to bring some more income into the household. In California, it's something that you have to do. I mean, it's costing you literally $400 a month just in groceries to feed yourself today. If you drive more than 30 miles or 25 miles to get to the job, 50 miles each day, your gas is just extremely blown out of proportion. Everything is skyrocketed here, and it's all over greed. It's performed for a reason. I want you to know with love and tenderness, kindness in my heart that the Spirit, the Supreme Spirit of truth, the living one, has created a system. He's allowed other gods, mankind are gods. Those created on the sixth day of creation are gods. And he's allowed them to perform miracles, spells, sorcery, castings, programming, and channeling. And all that is done through the internet, the television, the smartphones, these devices. So I just felt that it was important to let everybody know that's the position that we're in. We have to make a solid decision on what we want to serve. Do you want to serve mankind? Do you want to vote for mankind, which are created evil? I don't care how you think it. Everybody seems to think that politicians somewhere down the line are going to save us. Listen, there's a hive of people that try to draw you in to their shenanigans here. Since I'm live, gematria calculator, they're trying to drag you in into their shenanigans. My uncle the other day, I tried pointing out some scriptures to him that the Bible is a book of riddles. Proverbs chapter 1 verse let's Proverbs chapter 1. Let's just go ahead and read 1 through 7 here, which says, and I read this often in a lot of my videos. It says, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight. Remember, it takes wisdom and insight. So here you have both wisdom, right there, wisdom and insight. So in 13:18 of Revelations, it says, here's a call for wisdom. Let the one with insight. So for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight. So when I share information with others about insight and wisdom, and they prefer to put the blinders on, like, to give you an example, it's so crystal clear to me that evil is on this plane of existence. I'm taking a CPR course, and so I can pick up a new client, and I had to take three 8-hour courses here to qualify for this, to take on new clients. I have to be able to do CPR. I have to be able to wash and bathe and clean people that have limbs missing, have nephrostomy sacs to their backs, um, nephrostomy sacs out of their kidneys, bile that is inside of sacs. I had to take these classes. So while I was in class, I was the only man. The rest of them are all women. It was 7 women in the class, and then there was me. And there were 2 women specifically that wanted to make it very clear to me that they were um, what their age was, and that they're single and they're available and all that. And they, I don't know if it was them or if it was me, but somehow the conversation came up, and somehow I ended up saying that if a woman ever tells you that they are crazy or insane, to run. And they kind of chuckled and laughed. And then the 2 of them started conversating with one another, and they kind of were feeding off of that and chatting among one another. And in that brief moment, I said, well, can I share 3 scriptures with you that may help you explain or understand why we act the way we do? So, the first parable that I shared with them was Genesis chapter 1, verse 25. So, God made the animals of the earth according to their kinds. Okay, now if I come here and I go to the King James Bible, it tells us God made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds. So, in this classroom, before it started, we were about 10 minutes before the class started, I started sharing this content and information with them. And when I shared it with them, I said, do you understand why we act in the way we do? So the very first parable was this. I said that God created the United Nations, each according, or the beasts of the field, each according to their kind. And then I said, images of the United Nations. I told her that this parable was a hidden meaning to God created the United Nations, each according to their kind. And the minute I said that, one of them, not both of them, one of them just said, "Hey, look, man, I don't want to hear this. I don't agree with you. I disagree with you." And I asked her. I said, "Well, what is it you disagree with me about?" And she had nothing. She just said, well, religion and politics are discussions that are very difficult to talk about, and we're inside of a government building, and we're not supposed to be talking about these things anyways. And I said, according to who? So my point here being is that when you try to share information with somebody about this kind of stuff, look, show yourself approved. Make every effort to present yourself approved to God, an unashamed workman who accurately handles the word of truth, because this is very important, because we got to move to John chapter 4 verse 24. Let me turn my mouse on, man. Every time I use this thing, it takes forever. It's a difficult thing to reach around. So John 4:24 says, God is spirit, and they that worship the spirit, okay, him, must worship the spirit in spirit and truth. I only do not say him because God tells you he's not a man, and a man is masculine, and you got to identify man as a him. So that's kind of off. So my point being that she just shot me down. And honestly, I was offended. I almost lashed out at that woman, but instead I bit my tongue and I said, "Hey, if you don't want to hear, then that's on you. That's kind." But the other woman, she winked at me and Like, and not only did she wink at me, she gave me her number, her name, her address, all that information, and honestly seemed open to it. And she probably could tell that I was irritated, because when I try sharing scriptures to people and they shoot me down like that, I'm sorry, I want to go over there and sock them in their face. I want to bitch slap them. But then I got to realize that the Bible plainly says that only a few are going to get it. Only a few. Only a remnant shall enter the kingdom of heaven. So I've got to realize that when I talk, I can't be offended because somebody doesn't want to hear the truth, because only a remnant are going to hear the truth, right? So Isaiah cries out concerning Israel. Though the numbers of the Israelite is like the sands of the sea, only a remnant of you will be saved. So if only a remnant of God's chosen children are going to be saved, what's to be done with the Gentile? Okay, even fewer of you. If I was to pick a number and say, okay, a remnant of God's chosen children, I'd have to say, honestly, a remnant is only like 3% of God's chosen children. Okay, if there's, say, 700 million, I was going to say six. It came in my head to say six, but then 700 million children of God, and there's 8 billion people on the earth. 700 million would be like, what is that? Is it 1 or 10%? Anyways, only 700 million people of God's chosen children, if only a remnant of those are going to be saved, then you're looking at 3%. 2 or 3% of God's chosen children. So if you're looking at 1% of 700 million, you're looking at 7 million of God's chosen children that'll be saved. Very, very small number compared to the number of people on the face of the earth. If it's 3, then you're looking at about 21 million out of 700 million of God's chosen children will be saved. When it says that only 144,000 shall be saved, it's not specifically talking a number of 144,000. It's speaking of 144,000 from the tribes of Israel, not 144,000 people. Okay, if the number of 144,000 people on the face of the earth is all that's being chosen to enter the kingdom of heaven, then you are a complete freaking idiot to believe that you're one of the chosen children that are getting into the kingdom of heaven. I'd never be so arrogant or foolish to think that I'm one of 144,000 that are going to be picked out of, 7-8 billion people. So where do we go from there? It's got to be a higher number than that. I would hope that it's a higher number than that. So, though the number of the Israelites is like the sand of the sea, only a remnant will be saved. So we're talking about a very small number on the face of the earth that will be saved. Well, who are they? How do we greatly enhance our chances? James 5:20, Bible Hub. Consider this: whoever turns a sinner from his error, which is the worship of other gods, is the worship of idols, is the worship of kings, queens, President Trump, Biden, assemblymen, senators, All of you that worship mankind are thumbing your nose up to God. You're saying to the Spirit, look, we can do this. We don't need your help. And that's exactly what I got from that woman in class today. And I get offended, extremely offended, because all I want to do today is talk about the Spirit, the Creator. It's all that's on my heart today. It's all I walk in today. Am I perfect? Not by any means at all. Am I going to be saved? I don't know. Do I even think that I'm close to being saved? No, I don't believe. I have too many sins on my shoulder. So today, I try to turn sinners from their errors and try to save their souls from death. And by me doing that, I cover a multitude of my own sins. So I'm better off today than I was 8 years ago when the Spirit allowed me to see the sins of the world. And in my sins, I turned away from it. And let me tell you, the devil works over a course of time. The devil is the flesh suit. The devil is the skin. The devil is the vanity. The devil is you when you look in the mirror and you say, damn, I'm good looking. When you're combing your hair and you're stroking that brush through your hair and you're like blowing kisses at yourself. Oh, yes, I've done it myself. I'm sure everybody else has as well. And those who haven't are very humble souls. So I just wanted to point that out, how only a remnant are getting to it. So I fight with this feeling when I get rejected when I'm trying to share information about God, which brings me even closer to God and helps me to understand that truly people on this plane of existence, ooh, oh, I did, man. I wanted to walk over to that woman and backhand her because I didn't like being shut down. I don't like it when people say, well, we're in a government building. You're not supposed to be talking about stuff like that. Says who? You? You think I care about what the government says? You think I care about what the Supreme Court says? I was gifted with the First Amendment right to express my religious beliefs, though I don't believe in religion. I'm a spiritual person, because religion are the legions of demons. That's right. You heard me correctly. So here we're for gaining wisdom and instruction in understanding words of insight. I share words of insight, and the world puts up their blinders like a horse on a racetrack. So they can't see to the left and they can't see to the right. And you think that, well, hey, you're running straight forward. That's what we're supposed to be doing, is moving straight forward. But in this case, blinders are what keep you from seeing the truth, for receiving instruction in a prudent behavior. Those that listen to the wisdom of the wise receive instruction in a prudent behavior, and they do what is right and just and fair. They give prudence to those who are simple, the simple-minded. They don't capital lies. You hear me? Are you following me? Capital lies. Because those in power are completely liars. I can't believe, after, for me, 62 years on my life, after being gifted to see the truth, that you can't open other people's eyes. It's not my place. I want it to be my place. I thrive for this energy, this power to help people see and open their eyes, but I can't do it. It comes to this and this alone. I will save those who I wish. Because he loves me, I will deliver him. Because he knows my name, I will protect him. When he calls out to me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. That isn't the parable I was looking for, but it was still a strong parable. Let me see if I can find it. Let me think here for a second. Give me a minute. Oh, gosh, I want to almost make a phone call. I hate it when I want to pull up the parable in my head and I can't think. Let me throw out a few shout outs too, man. By the way, I want to thank you very much, Binky Boo, for being one to, give me love in the comment section. I know you don't write a lot of comments, but even that little simple heart you send me is a heartfelt warmth. Okay, it comforts me. I have 417 subscribers, and I can't even get 10% of you, of my subscribers, to comment. Makes me wonder what you're here for. You go to other channels, and you give all kinds of love, you give all kinds of comments, you give all kinds of appreciation, and I've been doing this for years now. So another thing that I need to just continue my own walk. I have to not be caught up in this world because that's what causes my grief. I bust ass in this Bible. I give information that nobody else teaches or knows or has a clue what the Bible says. And I can't even get a simple thank you, bro, for all the work that you put in. It's disheartening. It makes me want to give up. It makes me want to quit. And then I think, don't do that. That's what Satan wants me to do. Satan is the one that blocks my views. Satan is the one that blocks my comments. Satan is the one that doesn't let me see the thumbs up. He's the one that's trying to beat me down. He's the one that's trying to hold me back. And then I call out to the Spirit of truth. And I say, give me strength. Give me hope. Let me love. Don't let me be consumed by the bitterness of this world. Don't let it take me. Hold me close. Guide me. Lead me. Protect me. You alone, the Spirit of truth, the living one, are my master. I serve you. I cling to you. And I call on you alone. So when you receive instruction in a prudent behavior, you are doing what is right and just and fair. You give prudence to those who are simple rather than trying to capitalize on them. Knowledge and discretion to the young, for giving prudence to those who are simple and knowledge and discretion to the young. Guide our children by the Spirit of truth, the living God, the loving God. You guide them in discretion, and then they shall be wise from the very beginning. Okay? And then you're going to know if that child is a seed of Satan or not. But it must have the truth from the very beginning. You must teach the child from a spiritual sense, not from the flesh, not from the world, not from the job, not from Donald Trump, not from Joe Biden, not from these nutbags, not from these liars, not from these pieces of frickin' rotten cow dung that their blood will pour out on the ground like dung. Do you feed them your soul? Because when you vote for them, that's what you do. You give them your soul. Let the wise listen and add to their learning. The wise listen. Okay? Ignorant people don't listen. That woman today inside of that classroom, the minute I gave her one parable and she shut me off, they did not listen. She shut me down. And I wanted to shut her down. Literally. But that's the Supreme Spirit's position. It's not mine. He says not that it's his wrath. It's not our wrath. It's not your wrath or my wrath. It's his to make the decision. So we have to trust that he will handle it all. This is why we can't get tied up with the evil. We just got to turn away from it. We can't let it feed off of us. We can't buy into dialogue that takes place about abortions at 9 months in the third trimester, or even when they tell us that you can kill a baby after it's born. Okay, that's all garbage and bullshit, folks. It's for one purpose: to cause emotional pain and grief. You see, if these bastards and bitches and liars and, excuse my language, cocksuckers want to kill you, they could. No problem at all. These people have come to my house, unlocked my security screen door, and opened up my front door. How come they didn't come in and finish the job? Because they thrive off of fear. But see, when I woke up at 4:30 in the morning to go in and get a drink of water, and I saw my door and the screen standing wide open, I wasn't filled with 1 ounce of fear. I was filled with rage. I was filled with anger. I wished that I'd woke up and busted whoever it was there. Now, maybe it would have got me killed catching them, and I would have tackled one of those pieces of shit. Only they know who it is. I didn't see him. But I'm going to get to see him when I draw my last breath and my spirit is released from this cell. Our body is a cell. That's why they call it a body made of cells, because we are entrapped inside of a flesh suit, encapsulated inside of a trap. The flesh. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. Who are the discerning? I am the discerning. And where do I get my guidance? Directly from the Spirit, the Supreme Creator, the point of singularity, the one who is excellent, perfect, in all his greatness, the Almighty, the perpetual force that moves all things in place, the leading one, the Almighty, Most High, none can compare to the point of singularity. Let the discerning get guidance for understanding proverbs, parables, and the sayings and riddles. The riddles of the wise. Dictionary.com. So when you see riddles in the Bible, or the word riddle, which is a brain teaser, they're telling you that the Bible is a brain teaser. It's a puzzle. And this one here, a mystery. The Bible is a mystery, but yet it says that the Bible is written so easily to understand that even a child can understand it. Do you realize if you want to know anything about God, the best person to go to is a 4 or 5-year-old? A 3-year-old? Why? Because they haven't been corrupted completely or totally by the flesh. If you teach a child to say no, all right, give you an example. You smoke cigarettes, and you got friends over, and everybody's drinking, and that you're allowing the 3-year-old to roam among all the adults where they see all this dysfunction and poor behavior going on, and the child goes over and reaches for an ashtray that has still butts in it, and you're like, no. And the child looks up at you. What's the child going to do? It's going to challenge you, isn't it? It's going to reach for that ashtray again. No. What are you doing? You're teaching your child how to say no. So rather than saying no to the child, the proper thing to do is to remove the ashtray. The child goes for something else or a lamp, you remove the lamp. You remove the drink. You remove whatever it is that you don't want the child to be touching. You don't sit there and say no. You don't smack the child on the hand. You don't pop the child on the ass. You just simply remove the problem. Be part of the solution. If you're telling your child no, 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 then what do you think the child is going to say to you? No. Just like that. So the Bible is a riddle. A riddle is a brain teaser, and it is a mystery that places us in a conundrum, which is a puzzle, and it causes a quandary. And most importantly, fear the Lord. In this case, let's remove Lord and say to ourselves, fear the supreme spirit of truth. The living one is the beginning of knowledge. But fools, like that wench who cut me down today in that classroom, despise wisdom and instruction. It's that simple, folks. With that said, I'm going to jump in to 2 Samuel chapter 4, which is only 12 verses. When Ishbosheth, son of Saul, heard that Abner had died in Hebron, he lost courage, and all Israel became alarmed. Now Saul, son, had 2 men who were leaders of raiding bands. What a kind little word. Could we say marauders? Let's see. Could we say invaders? Could we say something that's a little more offensive than raiding bands? Soften up the blow a little bit. No, I meant raid. Oh my goodness, an onslaught. Someone to capture and break in, to assault, to invade, to sweep or cause a surprise attack. Don't you just love the way that they try to soften these words up? When the scales are off your eyes, then you start realizing, hey, Israel, you are a raiding band. How did you become so evil? Huh? Weren't you given instructions that you're not to kill? It would appear to me that Israel is much of a band of murderers as the Gentile. This is why my views have went from 40 and 50 and 60 views a video down to lucky if I get any kind of views on my videos. So I realize, hey, you know what? It's just Satan trying to beat me down, because only a few are going to hear the truth. Now Saul's son had 2 men who were leaders of a raiding bands. One was named Baanah and the other Rechab. They were sons of Rimmon, the Beerothite, from the tribe of Benjamin. Beeroth is considered part of Benjamin because the people of Beeroth fled to Gittim and have resided there as foreigners to this day. Jonathan, son of Saul, had a son who was lame in both feet. He was 5 years old when the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel. His nurse picked him up and fled, but as she hurried to leave, he fell and became disabled. His name was Mephibosheth. Now, Rechab and Baanah, the son of Rimmon, the Beerothite, set out for the house of Ishbosheth, and they arrived there in the heat of the day while he was taking his noonday rest. They went into the inner part of the house as if to get some wheat, and they stabbed him in the stomach. Then Rechab and his brother Baanah slipped away. So as Israelites, do you think this evil that they just did will be cast upon them themselves? Only the Spirit knows. He's the one that said not to do such things. Okay. They had gone into the house while he was laying in bed in the bedroom, and they stabbed and killed him. They cut off his head, taking it with them. They traveled all night by way of Arabah. So they cut this man's head off. It's not bad enough that you got to stab him, but as an Israelite, you're going to cut his head off and defile him completely. Now, I'm not taking sides because the Gentile have performed the same acts upon Israelites. But we have to ask these questions. When did Israel become slaves to the Gentile? And what time and era was it that the Gentile were slaves to Israel? Because they were the ones that were given power. They were the ones, as I understand, in Genesis 1:30, it says that all dominion was given of the animals and the earth and the trees and the berries and everything was given, mankind was given dominion over all the earth. And then a second creation come along. Was he given dominion over all the earth? Because he was given dominion over all things, a Gentile. And then they made that biggest error. They ate from that tree of knowledge of good and evil, and they fell into the same vile ways as the Gentile. So they brought the head of Ishbosheth to David at Hebron and said to the king, "Here is the head of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, your enemy, who tried to kill you. This day the Lord has avenged my lord, the king, against Saul and his offspring." David answered Rechab and his brother Baanah, the son of Rimmon, the Beerothite, "As surely as the Lord lives, who has delivered me out of every trouble, when someone told me Saul is dead and thought he was bringing good news, I seized him and put him to death in Ziklag. That was the reward I gave him for his news. How much more when wicked men have killed an innocent man in his own house and on his own bed, should I not now demand his blood from your hand and rid the earth of you?" Because God says, when you take a man's life and you shed his blood, then by man's hands your own blood shall be shed. So David gave an order to his men, and they killed them. They cut off their hands and their feet and hung their bodies by the pool of Hebron. But they took the